What's up, y'all? It's your girl Iced. Hmm. I feel like I want to say welcome back, but I really would just be saying welcome back to myself because your girl been gone for a whole year. Last year, I was working on my second video. It took me 6 days to edit it. I think another three to export it. No editing experience. No idea what I was doing. I said,
Absolutely not. YouTube is not for me.
but here I am. I'm back a year later. So, as you can see from the thumbnail and the title, this subject is obviously going to be very touchy. I know for myself it definitely is, but my whole point in this is drum roll. I turned 30 this year, which means in this new decade, I'm not bringing unhealed relationships, situationships, friendships, any of that into my 30s.
Bye bye.
Today, we're going to be hopping into what it means to be estranged and go no contact with a parent, an ex, anybody, but more specifically for the lovely people that birthed us. To give you all a little more background for those of you who may not know what estranged or going no contact means, quick crash course. Estranged is just a fancy way of saying we don't talk no more. It's okay. It's good like it is. It's when a relationship hits the rocks and communication becomes just as rare as finding that missing sock. Then there's no contact, which is like taking estrangement to the highest level. It's the point where you decide no more calls, no more texts, no more pretending like everything is just perfectly fine. For me personally, my relationship with my mama has been a roller coaster over the years. For you mothers and daughters out there, if you know, you know. As I hit 30, I realized that I have to make a lot of tough decisions. Here we are, doing some emotional spring cleaning. Enough about me though. Let's check out these TikTok videos. Trigger warning, a lot of these things have really hit close to home for me. I have found I am not the only one, and you out there watching, you're not the only one either. So let's all just gather down in the comment section and embrace each other. These people have made similar decisions to myself. Their reasons might sound very familiar and hit close to home.
Have to start grieving the fact that your mother's not going to be able to give you what you deserve. And I know that sounds weird to say, like, I gotta grieve that my mother can't be a mother for me. The answer is yes. Because I can see you trying to make strides to get yourself a better life, but you're always going to be held back and always going to be sucked back in because your mother has this sort of hold on you because you're still believing that she can give you what you deserve. And unfortunately, she's not in the place yet. So you have to continue to do what you have to do to continue to have your life. You hear me? You did not deserve this relationship with your mother. You didn't deserve it.
Is like it takes a lot for like a grown child not to speak to their parents anymore.
I don't think people understand when you grow up in a household, right, where it seems like everything your parent does is correct and every decision your parents make are the right decisions because you personally don't know the difference between right or wrong yet until you get older and you realize, oh, maybe the things that my parents did growing up wasn't the right things to do. So then when you bring that to them when you get older, and their response is to either not take accountability, or they'll say like, oh, that never happened, or they'll say you're being ungrateful. That is an experience that can change the trajectory of your life, because you grow up trying to not be your parents. So you have to reconstruct yourself into an entirely different person. And if your parent refuses to learn who that new person is, it causes a disconnect. And you might not want to be there for your parents when they're older because they refuse to learn who you are at all.
God, my mom disrespected my relationship yesterday, and I'm trying to have a conversation with her to correct it. Yesterday, I'm hanging out at my boyfriend's house. We had just got home from meeting his brother for the first time. And my mom's like, call me. So I call her and she's trying to give me like some family tea or whatever that's going on. She's like, where are you? And I'm like, I'm over Chris's house. She knows exactly who he is. He has been a fixture. So like she continues talking. After literally we had just said his name, it was like, what's this one's name? Like, what? And I immediately clocked it because I'm like, girl, what are you doing? Like, I saw his face and I knew if it bothered me, it was gonna like bother him. And I asked him like, hey, did you take offense to like her? Basically, he was like, yeah, I clocked it. It didn't feel nice, but I just chucked it up to me and her haven't been introduced. One thing about me, I'm going to be respectful, but I am going to be tactful and I'm going to be straight to the point. So I text my mom and I'm like, Mom, why did you say, what's this one's name when you knew I was at his house and like he heard you? Why would you say that? She's like, oh, I didn't mean anything by it. I didn't know that he was listening. Girl, I told you I was at his house. Like, he's like, I didn't say like, what's this one's name? I said, what's his name? First off, you did say, what's this one's name? I had just told you his name. You know his name. I literally told my mom that she can be very dismissive. So she said in the past that she feels like I don't tell her things, but it's exactly for this reason, because like she oversteps. She's like, oh, I can't win for losing. Sorry for even saying anything. And how are you making yourself to be the victim here? They want you to talk to them, but whenever you try to like have conversations to be like, hey, you hurt my feelings, it always turns into like something that it doesn't need to be. And I'm like, this is why I don't tell you nothing. I'm not the only one to be going through this.
You lied on me. And this is why I'm about to break the cycle. King and Dream will never see this. Bye. Oh, okay. They'll never see it. Good. They won't. Good. That's why they're not here. Good. That's why they're not here.
I left all that like loud ghetto shit, like all that ratchet shit behind. Like I'm not trying to like put that energy like in the air at all. So if you can't get with it, then you gotta get lost.
Dreamy comes Saturday, Sunday. I don't have nothing to do with so that. wait, so this is why she's not here. You're a weirdo.
Monday,
Saturday,
weirdo. Sunday,
You're
Monday,
bipolar.
Wednesday.
Mental issues.
5 days.
You put your hand in my face again, girl.
5 days.
You're going to stretch your ass across this
So
kitchen. You better keep your hands on my face.
5 days.
Don't touch me no more.
5 days.
You do it again, I'm gonna rock your world in this mother.
So rock it.
You put your hands on me again.
So rock it.
Put your hands on me again.
Rock it.
You a disrespectful
So 5
ass girl.
days.
You disrespectful is what you are.
I know.
Yeah, you are.
I don't care what your mother did to you. I don't care if she sold your to our army. You still better respect your mama.
You disrespect everybody. You make your people cry. You take a car from your mama.
I never.
You took a car from your mother. Why you take the car?
Never.
Why you take a car? Why you stop my life? Why?
A car.
A car.
I bought you cars.
Yeah.
I paid you rent.
No, you ain't buy me a motherfucking car. Where's my motherfucking car you bought me? Where's it?
I gave you money. Are you
Girl,
serious?
you a weirdo. You a fucking weirdo.
Then she goes on to talking about the car that I like got for her, which I'm still paying a note and whatnot. The car's still there. Like nobody's taking the car from you at all, which like annoys me to like the fullest.
She has like 3 cars, 3 fast, expensive cars, 400 to 500,000, and yet my little $40,000 car, which is a Cartier bracelet, sits. What kind of shit is that?
You know.
My life. Yeah, I never took nothing from
It's
you.
still inside. It's still from my house.
Exactly, but I took the car.
Yeah,
right?
you did. You stopped it. You
No, I
stopped
didn't,
it.
Miss
You
Tony.
stopped it. You a weirdo.
Shalana.
Really?
No, I did not. How would I stop? How
You
can I
need to
stop?
get
it?
some. You need to get some help.
No. So
You
no,
need to
let's
get some
talk
help.
about it.
No, you need to get some help. You're
Let's
nuts.
talk about getting you some mental help.
No,
something's wrong.
You're nuts.
Something's wrong.
Get out of my face.
Something's wrong.
I have 3 adult children and 2 aren't talking to me. And do I give a damn? Of course I care, but I'm not gonna feed into their bullshit.
This video is interesting to watch because I think it encapsulates how a lot of parents feel about their millennial Gen Z children. And as a millennial myself, I want to give my perspective on this topic.
This creator asked the question why, and then another creator stitched her video and it was like, okay, well, I did this and I'm one of those kids and I walked away. Well, from my parents because they had trauma. Well, I look at it this way. They are basically saying that during our lifetime, that when their life overlapped with ours, that we should have provided them with a trauma-free, wonderful, perfect life. And I look at my mother, I have grace and empathy because she came up in a time where just certain things weren't available. I know that during my childhood, she battled depression. And these kids that look at our life and look at our timeline, who expect our timelines to be trauma-free so they can be individuals. They're not dealing in reality. They're not dealing with real adulthood, because real adulthood is being able to look at somebody else and have grace and empathy.
First of all, no adult child is expecting their parent to provide them with a trauma-free, wonderful life. What they ask for is for you to take accountability and make change. She goes on to say being a real adult is about having grace and empathy for people, like how she had grace and empathy for her mother who was battling depression. And I can agree with that. That is a part of adulthood. But my question is, where is the grace and empathy for the child who is being passed on all this generational trauma? Majority of children don't up and leave out of nowhere. A majority of children crave to be loved and validated by their own parents. Like, you can tell immediately there's no grace or empathy for her children because she calls what they're doing their bullshit. She also goes on to talk about how she's not talking about real abusers, ones that molest and rape and beat their children, etc. Not realizing that emotional abuse and neglect actually causes the same amount, if not more, trauma to a child than all these other types of abuses that she considers more serious. And you can tell by this video and other videos that she's posted that she's very much stuck in that emotionally abusive cycle. There's a video where she talks about how her generation was only fed one stream of information, and that was to love and respect your parents and give them grace and empathy, proving that, she felt like she had no other choice but to feel that way towards her mom. Even though on the inside she may have felt conflicted, like she may still love her mom, but it must have been hard growing up with a mom that had depression. There had to have been some level of emotional neglect or abuse there. And because she was never given the space to share her emotions and have them validated, she expects the same level of love and empathy that she was forced to give her mom from her children.
I let go of my claim on you. It's a free world.
I'm no contact with both my parents, so what that basically means is for one of them, there's no communication between the two of us at all. And then for the second one, if I see them again, we're just gonna have to throw hands.
These are the things that I didn't expect when I went no contact with my mom. I have been no contact with my mom on and off for the past 10 years, but I would say it's been pretty consistent for the last 5 or 6 years. When I say no contact, I mean no contact. I don't have her phone number. I don't have her address. She met my son, but only once when he was 2 years old, and now he's about to be 7 years old this year. And she's never met my daughter, and she has not met my fiance. And the one thing that I did not expect when I went no contact with her was the amount of people in my life that would meet me for the very first time, find out that I'm no contact with my mom, and then ask me to mend the relationship. They would just automatically assume that that was my first course of action, and I did nothing to try to make the relationship between me and my mom work before I cut her off. And what I need for people to realize is that is the result of trying to make the relationship work. The no contact is the end of something. It's not the beginning of something. Typically, adult children that have gone no contact with their parents, that wasn't their first plan of action. They tried for probably many years to make the relationship with their mom or dad work. I know for me personally, there were years where my mom didn't take accountability. It wasn't just one conversation. True healing between two people cannot happen if only one person is acknowledging the trauma. And then even once the trauma is acknowledged, there needs to be a change in behavior. And it drives me absolutely insane when people just think, oh, you took the easy way out by just cutting her off. That was not the easy part. That was a very difficult decision. And it's a decision that I personally do not regret because I know everything that took place and I know that I'd made the best decision for myself. And as a result of not having contact with me, she also does not have contact with my children. And I've said this in a video before, but children, no matter what the age, do not owe their parents anything. And that includes contact with their grandchildren. Parenting is a one-way street. It always has been that way. It is a job that you do not get thanked for because your children did not ask to be here. You did not have to have them. I also didn't expect the fallout that would happen with other family members because of my decision to cut off my mom. There are family members that don't talk to me, mostly siblings, just because of the fact that I won't have a relationship with our mom. And that's okay too, because although we have the same mother, I do realize we had a different experience with her based on the amount of time that we spent around her. I'm just saying, if you meet a person and find out that there's no contact with their parents, please respect their decision. And keep in mind that it is always the parent's responsibility to mend that relationship. It's never the child's responsibility, no matter how old they are.
Have a narcissistic parent. What was the weirdest tantrum that they ever threw?
I could talk about these things now because it's funny and I went to therapy for it and now we're no contact. So yeah, let's get into it. So my very first job was a babysitter, and I was a babysitter for my Spanish teacher, and she was only paying me like $10 an hour, and most of the time she only needed me like 2 times to 3 times out the week, so I was only getting like $20-$30 a week. So that wasn't enough money for me, so I had to go get another job, and I started working at a grocery store named Piggly Wiggly. I was 15 years old, so I couldn't do much, so I was only a bagger at Piggly Wiggly. And like the moment that I got the job, the first thing my mama said to me, well, you know you're finna start paying bills now, right? Let me backtrack. Before I even came back and got these jobs, the summer before, I had previously just spent the summer with my dad and my sister. And while I was down there, my sister had bought me a phone because I didn't have a working phone. My phone was off. So she bought me a new phone, and she traded in my old phone, and then she traded in her old phone, and she got an iPhone. So fast forward, I started working these jobs, and my Spanish teacher, that week I had made like $30 from her. And she didn't need me for the weekend or the next week because her and her husband wasn't going out or doing nothing during that week. So since she didn't need me, I picked up hours at Piggly Wiggly, and I only worked like 25 hours out of that week, and I was making $7.25. So before I got my first check, my sister had forgot to pay the phone bill, and she didn't know that my phone was off, so I had to pay my own phone bill. So I had a phone that was off for about like 2 to 3 days before I got my first paycheck. So I'm like, yeah, I'm calculating my paycheck. You know how we all do. We calculate our paycheck before we get it. So I'm calculating my paycheck. I'm like, okay, I should have enough to pay my phone bill. So the day come, I get my first paycheck. I'm good. I'm great. I go pay my phone bill. My phone bill was only like $50. So I pay my phone bill. And now if we doing the math right, $7.25 plus what? 25 hours is like $179, $180. So if now we subtract that $50 from that $180, I got $130 left. And then the $30 that I had from my teacher, I spent that on food at work for the days that I was at work. So I'm on my way home from paying my phone bill. I'm so happy because I'm like, I just did some adult things. I just paid a bill. Like, oh my God, I just paid my phone bill. I'm so happy. So I walk in the house. My mama like, I need $100 from you for rent. $100? I'm like, I just paid my phone bill. I only got $130 left. So if I give you $100, then I'm only going to have $30 left. She like, nobody told you to do that. And she started going off on me. Then she like, give me that phone. Huh? Give you my phone. The phone you didn't even buy. The phone bill that I just paid. Like, give you my phone? I'm like, give you my phone. I'm like, huh? Why would I do that? I'm like, you didn't even buy this phone. My sister bought this phone. So why would I give it to you? What are you even taking my phone for? When I tell y'all she got so mad when I wouldn't get that phone up, the woman literally chased me upstairs and beat me all in my head and still didn't get the phone. After she got done beating and punching me all up in my head and still didn't receive the phone, she was so mad, so she proceeded to tell me, okay, don't come in my kitchen and touch nothing since you think you so grown, since you smelling yourself. Y'all know what I did? Called my dad and told him. Now, this is something that I left out. My stepdad, even though he did not live with us, that man was still paying bills over there. So it really was her just being petty because he had already gave her the money for rent for that month. So since I knew that, I called my stepdad and I'm like, can I come stay with you for a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe even permanently? He already had two of my brothers over there. So my younger brother and the brother right before me, he already had them over there living with him. So he like, what's going on? I'm like, can I explain it to you when I get there? He like, yeah, okay. So I hang up the phone with him and I pack me a little bag and I go right over there.
Here are 3 signs that your mother and father ain't about shit. Sign number 1, they run their fucking mouths too much. You confide in them with something personal and very private, they'll turn right the fuck back around and tell your siblings, your cousins, your grandparents, and everybody knows your fucking business. That's because your mother and father are secretly envious of you. So they feel by leaking your personal business, it'll make you look bad and they'll feel better about themselves. Keep your motherfucking business to yourself. Stop running your mouth to your messy ass parents. Sign number 2, they play you against your siblings. This is called triangulation. They'll tell your brother and sister, that you was talking shit about them, so they could dislike you. And then they'll run and tell you that your siblings was talking shit about you. They love to see their children competing and fighting amongst each other because when you run to your mom and dad and tell them what the fuck's going down, they get a high off of it. If your siblings run to your parents and tell them what the fuck went down, they get a high off of it. They get high off the fact they cause drama amongst their children. This is called triangulation. It's dangerous and you need to cut everybody off. Sign number 3 is when they go against you and they side with your baby daddy, your boyfriend, your husband, knowing they're fucking abusive. Your family will fucking betray you. Your parents will fucking betray you. You go to them and tell them you're being abused, they will side with your motherfucking abuser. That means your mother and father are abusive and they're trying to keep you stuck and in control by siding with your abuser. So it's everybody ganging up against you. Your parents are fucking toxic. You should have been cut them off. They ain't shit for siding with your abuser. Here's a bonus one. Number 4, your parents are financially abusive. Meaning they'll try to buy you to control you. They'll pay your bills or buy you gifts to control you, or they'll spoil your siblings and they won't do shit for you or your kids to punish you if you try to get away and keep them out your business. You don't let your parents control you. They're not going to spend no money or buy no gifts for you or your children. They're petty like that. Or if your parents are fucking broke, they'll try to move in your house or they'll try to abuse you by taking money from you. They might steal your social security number and try to put shit in your name. They're financially abusive. So I wrote this book. This book is called My Family Can Kiss My Ass, and it is available on Kindle and Amazon in paperback. And if you're struggling to cut off your toxic parents and your family altogether, please go buy this book. You can click on the link in my bio and it'll take you to Amazon. I have 8 other books on narcissism too, but you need this book if your parents are getting on your fucking nerves.
My daughter won't speak to me. I want her back in my life. I want to start off by saying that I know I was the one who ruined our relationship, but it's been 3 years already. I just don't see why she can't come around. I miss her terribly and she's my one and only girl, my only child. I should explain, I, 43, married my current wife, 21, 3 years ago. It had caused quite some backlash from my friends, my community, some of my family members, my ex and of course, my daughter. But I had to marry my wife. She's the only one for me. She's beautiful, she's intelligent, she's a kind and caring woman. I knew my daughter would have some problems with my marriage, but I never expected how harsh she could have been. She begged me to end this marriage. She pleaded with my wife to leave me. I had to admit, I'm not proud of myself, but I told her that I wished she was never born, that I resented her and that she meant nothing to me. I already had a rocky relationship with my daughter. She never approved of my relationship with my wife, but we would at least have a talking relationship. Since that day she hasn't spoken to me since. If I am being honest, I miss her and I decided to see on social media how she was doing. She's engaged. I am her father, and I found out about my own daughter's engagement through social media. That was when I knew I had made a serious mistake. I don't want to miss out on any more of her milestones in life. I contacted her through social media, but she had blocked me. I want to reach out to her again. I want her back in my life, but I need advice. I will be editing this post to answer some questions and paint a clearer picture. For one, I did not meet my wife when she was a minor. That would have been extremely disgusting and I would have seen her differently if I had. Everything about our relationship had been legal and there was clear consent. I met her when she was 18. We dated for a total of 8 months before we had gotten married. She had always been more reserved and shy, so we agreed on an elopement. I am not planning to have any more children in the near future. As for the relationship between my wife and my daughter, they weren't enemies, they were simply friends. She had started coming over and a relationship between us naturally developed. She was skeptical at very beginning, but I truly love her and I know she feels the same. I must also say, my wife is an adult woman, she is not some baby. The way that a lot of you consider her to be a child is frankly disturbing and hurtful towards her. She can make her own decisions and she chose to be with me. Why else has she stayed by my side for 3 years?
I just read the most unhinged text message from somebody's estranged family member on their husband's side of the family. We have been excluded from her life as a baby, the most special time. We will never get that time back. We all wanted to raise her. It's been too long. Life is short. Baby deserves to know her family. We all want to love on her. Would hate for her to grow up to resent you for keeping her from people who want to love her. Family is family. Time has passed and we all need to move on and have peace. It will be your grandmother's birthday soon and I believe that is the best time. Please travel to us and come to the party. If not, please bring baby and we will all take turns watching her. It has been over a year since we've seen a picture of the baby. Many family members don't think the baby even exists. I would have hoped you would have taken initiative to send us a picture. She's not yours. She's everyone's baby and belongs to the family. This entire message was just unhinged and giving like certified delusional, but I want to highlight a couple things. We all wanted to raise her. Judging by this text message, thank God the parents are not letting you people raise this child. Second, please travel to us and we will all take turns watching her literally over my dead body. Would I ever let estranged family members who I've not seen in a year watch my non-verbal infant? And lastly, she's not yours. She's everyone's baby and belongs to the family. Not even therapy can help this person. A lobotomy is necessary.
I'm on my way back from a failed attempt to get my daughter back in my life after 3 years. Hi, I'm Antoinetta, Healthy Sense of Self. If you're in a similar situation, please listen, because something I will share with you that helped me. I just wanted to talk to her and see where she was living. I didn't know that. I had to find her place. It was really hard to find. First, I had to take a plane and rent a car and find a place to stay, which was really hard because it was in the mountains, and I'm not used to that at all. I arrived there at 2:30 in the night, and nobody was home, so it was quite an adventure. But it all turned out really, really nice. Very kind people who received me. And the next day, I went on this excursion to find her house. And it was really remote. And but I was really happy to see it. And, you know, I sat on the porch for a while. She wasn't home. So I left a note. And the next day I came back and I found her note. I didn't invite you. I don't want to see you. Make sure you never come back to my house. Never show up at my house. That's what she said. She didn't say never. Don't show up at my house anymore. And it felt a bit like a threat, like if I would do it, that she would call the police or something. I don't know my daughter like that at all. So I'm very, very surprised. But what can I do? Pain, yes, a lot. But yeah, I have to respect it. She's an adult person, right? So yeah, after some thinking, I remembered I had a course from at Udemy, and it was about estranged parent-child relationships. I listened to it. It was by, I have to see what that name was, Sufana Garza, a very special woman who made it very conversational, and it was like talking to her. She gave a lot of insight, and one of the things that's so important, that it took away my feelings of guilt and of shame, really, because there's much more going on in this day and age. It seems to be an epidemic, she says. Like, so much has changed in society, and a child needs, to be on her own to find her sense of self. And yeah, she is right for that. And even though I don't like it, I, of course, grant her the space that she needs to find herself. And I'm really sorry that I interfered in not developing that really well in her. It's actually my trait, so it's really, really, ironic, so to speak. But hey, this is reality. So if you find yourself in a similar situation, go on Udemy and find this course, Estranged Parent-Child Relationships. It can really make a difference. Because we have to learn to go on with our lives and not suffer too much. And still, it's our life, it's my life, it's your life. So you make the most of it, whatever the situation is. I hope this helps. Thank you very much for your attention. See you next time.
I'm going to be very vulnerable in this video and say that I am officially, this is day one of me going no contact with my family. I'm recording this just so I can know that it's real, because if I put it out in the universe, I know I gotta stand 10 toes on. As some of you know, I was inducted into the 2024 creative class, and that's a really huge honor. Being recognized for like my work online, my work offline as a therapist, but also like my work online as a creator, like phenomenal. Last night was the award ceremony. I met Dominique Fishback from Swarm, amazing. I met Samo, who is literally one of my favorite singers. There were other honorees like Brandon Blackwood and freaking Coco Jones, like the amazing people, like phenomenal people. All of the people who were in this class, phenomenal people. So you understand why I was super excited for this event. Yes? My family lives in Baltimore. I live in New York. The ceremony was in New York. AKA, I live hundreds of miles away from my family. Keep that in mind, for starters. During the ceremony, my phone is blowing up. It's my mom. I'm sending her the sorry I can't talk right now message, and I'm like, what's going on? I immediately get a text message from my sister like, answer the fucking phone. We're calling you for a reason. Okay, one, who are you talking to? My mom is like, hey, your brother got hit by a car. She's clearly like distraught. I'm like, hey, I'm in the middle of an award ceremony. They're calling names. I don't know what's going on. I'm just like, okay, like what's going on? She's like, he said he feels like he's dying. In my mind, I'm like, okay, this means he's talking. Okay? And I'm like, I'm in the middle of a ceremony. I cannot like just leave the ceremony. Like I worked really hard for this. Just please, like it's nothing I can do. I'm not even physically in the same state, let alone tri-state area issue. So like I'm like literally like I'm like, just keep me posted what's going on. I eventually step off. I call my mom. I'm like, hey, like what's going on? She's distraught. She's sobbing. For context, my brother is 2 years older than me. I'm 29. He's 31. And she's like, oh, like I couldn't get the information. She's crying. I'm like, you need to stop crying. My family is clearly not good at handling emergencies. I'm like, okay, you need to stop crying just for 1 second. I understand being upset. Call the dispatchers and see which hospital he's going to so you can know what's happening. She does that. He's going to shock trauma. They figure out where he's going. I go back to the award ceremony. My sister texts me, you're fucking disgusting. Mind you, again, I just want to remind y'all, I'm not physically in the same state. There's literally nothing I can do. Meanwhile, my mom and my cousin texting me updates like on what's going on with him. I wound up talking to my brother at the end of the night. He was fine. He had like a band-aid on his head. And again, like I'm not even in the same state, so there's nothing I can do anyway. I worked really hard for this moment though. Like I literally worked with a stylist, which I have to pay for out of pocket. So like it's like I worked for this moment. I'm like, just I'm gonna do this. Keep me updated via text. But that was not enough. It was not enough. This morning I get a text message from my sister that is very long and explicit, saying that I am picking on my mother and brother because my mom said last night, like, oh, I didn't know you had this award show. Like, you didn't want to tell me what was going on. One, I couldn't tell her before it was announced. So I did tell her, like, something positive was coming. I did tell her about the award show. But the last time we spoke, and like almost every time we speak, she just drones on and on about like her life, her problems, but she never asked me what I have going on. I finally told her this morning because she's like, oh, I didn't know you had this award ceremony. And I'm like, how would you know? You don't ask me about my life. And that's just the reality. I have to be honest about that. Like she doesn't. Like, and it's okay. I don't have that type of parent, but I've never had Literally, I was my own my own parent at PTA meetings. I've had to forge her signature to even go to college because she was not a present parent. And I'm not even trying to say that as to be shady, but like she was neglectful. She knows what she did. Color me shocked when my sister is texting me saying that I'm selfish, that I look down on the family because I did not leave this award ceremony. Matter of fact, she said nobody wanted you to leave. We just said answer your phone. I'm in the middle of an award ceremony where they're calling names, but I was supposed to answer my phone and be present for an emergency that's hundreds of miles away that I can do nothing about. She said every family has a me. She said that like I look down on people. I don't. And this is something that is just said every time like there's any disagreement because again I'm a first generation graduate. Every time I'm like trying to celebrate myself, it becomes this. My entire time going to school, not a single visit, not a single care package, not a single letter. My move to New York, not a single visit, not a single care package, not a single letter. Um, Getting to school when I was going to undergrad, I had to bum a ride and move in on my own. Like literally, like when my college graduation dinner, my sisters weren't getting along. They sitting on top opposite sides of the restaurant. They're complaining about the dinner the whole time. I'm by myself. I have to pay for myself and multiple other people. Like I'm like doing it all on my own. This is long-winded, but I really cannot emphasize enough how many times my family has made all of my moments about everything but me, and it's really exhausting. And I'm to the point where I've finally reached my breaking point because last night was like a huge night for me, and I'm being cursed out again. This is not the first time that this has happened because I'm like, hey, no, like I'm gonna like actually enjoy the spoils of like what I've been working for. I have raised tens of thousands of dollars for my family. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on my family out of my own pocket. I've stopped people's cars from being repossessed. I've stopped people from losing housing. I've helped people buy like I don't even have to get into everything that I've done for my family, but it's been nonstop, and I cannot have anything in return. And I'm like, literally, this it's the message starts off with "You are fucking pathetic." I've had enough. And I'm putting this all out there because it's so fucking embarrassing because I really do I want a supportive family and I have like amazing friends and a support network around me. Don't get me wrong at all. But like my sister said that she hopes that I know that those people aren't going to be in my life for long. My friends that I've had for a decade, my friends I've had for like like 6, 7 years, like those people are not going to be in my life for long. But I'm supposed to be relying on this family who does this every time I have a moment. I graduated from grad school in my living room. I had the opportunity to walk and graduate. I said no because my family does this every time I have a moment. All of this to say, like, if you have any similar experience with family, my heart goes out to you. Nobody talks about the one who strives really hard, works really hard to not be in the same set of circumstances, but you just get ostracized and you get like looked at as like some like nothing you do is going to be enough, nothing you do is ever going to be right. I'm just done. Yeah, enough.
Why don't my children want to speak to me anymore? Why don't my children want to spend time with me anymore? Okay, let me help you figure it out. One, whenever they have tried to speak to you or they do speak to you, you always respond with anger. You always tell them that they're wrong. You tell them that you're the adult and they're the child, so they must listen to you and obey you, and that they're based, and then they internalize that as their voice doesn't matter and that you would never listen, and you don't listen to understand, you listen to correct and to prove that you are always right, essentially. Number two, whenever they did try to speak to you or want to spend time with you, they always came second. They were always second priority. I'm too busy. I have a meeting. I have work. I'm doing something. I'll do it with you later. And that was always the response that they got most of the time or all of the time growing up. So now they don't see the point and they know that if they do ask, you're going to say no anyway. So what's the point? Whenever you did spend time with them or you did try to talk to them, somehow it always ended up being about you. It always ended up having to be done your way, in the way that you like, in the way that you enjoy, or it had to somehow be about you in conversation or in advice. Somehow it was always then about you and no longer about them. So why would they come to you now when they know that it's not going to be about them and you're self-centered? When they were a child, you did not create an emotional bond with them, so they never created an emotional attachment to you, either because you didn't spend time with them, you didn't have the resources to be able to do that, you were always working through no fault of your own because you had to survive, so you didn't create an emotional attachment to them. So now they have no attachment to you, they just see you as somebody who's biologically their mum or dad, but there's nothing more beyond that. There's no emotional connection or attachment to you, so they have no reason to miss you, to want to be around you, or to talk to you, because they have nothing in common with you. That's what they feel like. And last but not least, you've never made the effort to get to know them. You've never taken interest in who they are as a person, what they like, what they don't like, how their day is going when they come back from school, who their friends are. You never took an interest in doing those things. You didn't celebrate things with them. You didn't get involved in anything personal in their lives. So they feel like they don't know you and they have nothing to talk to you about. And they have created those bonds and made memories with other people in their lives, their friends and their partners. So you are essentially just somebody who gave birth to them and brought them into this world, or who was just a biological parent, and that's it.
When you are the scapegoat child of a narcissistic mother, your narcissistic mother will abuse you, belittle you, and ostracize you, play favoritism, and just be downright mean to you for no apparent reason. It's like one day she's fine, and then the next day she just wants to start abusing you. Or one moment everything could be all okay, and then the next minute she's berating you and being belligerent for no fucking reason. And you, as the black sheep, are sitting here confused like, what is the problem? What did I do? What did I do now? Why am I in trouble? Why am I being treated this way? And what is the problem? This is very confusing for a child, because when the child knows that they have not done anything wrong, they haven't broke anything, they haven't broken any rules, they haven't been disobedient, they haven't been disrespectful, and all they've done is just merely exist and just come around the family, and their mother wants to treat them in such horrific ways. It's very confusing, because the child is asking themselves, what is wrong with me for my mother to treat me this way? Instead of the child thinking, what is wrong with my mother for treating her daughter this way? A lot of the mistreatment that narcissistic mothers give their daughters or their sons or their children, the child will tend to internalize the type of mistreatment that they get. They think that something is wrong with them, something is unlovable about them, something about them makes them unworthy for human decency and respect. And what this does is it lowers the self-worth and self-esteem of the child, because the parent is just breaking down the child's spirit. You see this a lot with mothers and daughters of narcissistic mothers with their scapegoat daughters, because the daughter is more of a threat to the mother because she's a female, she's young, she has her youth, she has her beauty, she has her talents, her gifts, her confidence. And when a narcissistic mother lacks this within herself, when she lacks youth, beauty, talent, gifts, she will project her insecurities and how she feels about herself worthless, unimportant, unlovable. She will project that onto her child, her daughter, to make her daughter feel just as low as she feels. This is a very sick thing for a mother to do, because a mother is supposed to be a protector, a provider, a nurturer, a caregiver. She is supposed to be uplifting her daughter, building her up, not putting her daughter down and belittling her and tearing her down. A mother is supposed to protect her daughter from harm, but if the mother is causing harm for the child, then the mother is not doing her job. Especially, this ruins any type of relationship that the mother and daughter can have, specifically because the daughter needs to be able to trust her mother. But if the narcissistic mother is kind one moment and then very cold-hearted the next moment, she cannot trust her mother. The child cannot trust how the mother is going to behave, how the mother is going to act. She won't be able to trust what she's going to get from her mother. This causes the child to have to walk on eggshells. This is what creates the child to be a people pleaser, because they feel the need to please their parent and prove to their parent that they are worthy of love, of respect, of human decency, when all of that should just be a given. Children are worthy of being loved just for merely existing. Children deserve respect, they deserve human decency, and children deserve so much better than what they receive from their narcissistic parent. A lot of times what can happen is when other siblings see the narcissistic mother being nasty and rude and mean to the scapegoat child, the siblings will sit back and watch. They won't intervene. They won't help. They won't comfort the child. They won't stick up for the child. They won't defend the child. They will sit back and watch in amusement as if it's entertaining to them. They will get this sick, sadistic satisfaction of watching their sibling being mistreated. They will even sit back and laugh at what the parent is doing to the other sibling, not realizing how wrong it is. And what this does is it creates a level of distrust that the scapegoat child can have with the rest of their siblings, because they're like, you're sitting here watching our mother be abusive, but yet you're not doing anything to intervene. You're not doing anything to help me. You would rather protect the abuser than to protect the one being abused. And this is why the scapegoat child tends to have issues with her siblings and doesn't have much of a relationship with them, because the siblings were not taught or trained to defend and stick up for their sibling and love their sibling. No. The narcissistic parent triangulates siblings against each other by pinning them against each other, making them not defend each other, stick up for each other, stick up for each other, because the parent wants to be able to berate a child on her own. She doesn't want to be ganged up on, but she will gladly have her and her children gang up on one sibling, because the narcissistic mother can dish it out, but she cannot take it at all whatsoever.
Why don't you visit us much anymore? Well, remember, it was really important for you guys to have super independent kids, so we don't really need anything from you now. You shouldn't only visit your parents when you need something. Oh, no. It's not that. In fact, I feel incredibly uncomfortable anytime I get a gift or help from you. Do you not love us? I love you so much, which actually makes all this quite a bit more difficult. What are you talking about? Interacting with you takes me back to a time in my life where I was powerless. I was given an inappropriate amount of responsibility. I didn't really have anyone to talk to about my fears or emotions, and simultaneously had very little autonomy. You were kids. Kids need parents, not friends. It's a parent's job to get you ready for the real world. Yeah, no, we were told that so much as kids that our view of parenting kind of moved away from nurturing and more towards like management. Management? We were plenty nurturing with you guys. Yeah, you weren't monsters, but you were also so focused on creating an environment that spit out hyper-independent kids, you didn't really think about how that would shape a child's view of what a parent is. You're a very capable adult. You don't want anything from us. You love us. Why are you not seeing us? Do you want to get real deep for a second? No, I already told your dad I'm not doing yoga. No, that's... In fact, I'm pretty sure he only goes because of Linda. She's the one on the corner with the tattoo. I'm saying that this is so far down, I haven't even put words to this myself. My understanding of parents is not support. It's not rejuvenation from the demands of life, which there are many, and we don't really have support for already because of how independent we are. Instead of blaming us for how you choose to live your life, why can't we be part of the support? We can watch the kids. I would love to make that work. You're gonna say no, aren't you? It's not happening. Why? You're the very people that taught me help means I'm failing. Any sort of power imbalance here just makes me feel like a helpless kid again. What an elaborate story Dr. Barnes has weaved for you. No, this is so far down to me, this would never come out of my mouth. Is all of this in your head? I don't know. What I do know is that our interactions are deeply confusing. I'm thrown back into the same fear I was tortured with as a kid, feeling powerless, but meant to take on the world, while also feeling like there's no one here to catch me if I fail. This leaves me more drained than gassed up, and since I have such limited capacity already, I avoid it, which then makes me feel guilty, because On one hand, I love you very much. You're my parents. Doesn't feel like it. And on the other hand, I know that protecting myself means hurting you. So we knock it out of the park as parents. We raise hyper-independent, capable kids, and we're still the bad guys? If your main goal of parenting is raising productive adults, then you did great. That's our job. Why are you upset then? This is what you wanted. It's not. You don't visit. Oh. You turned out exactly how we raised you.
What? What are you talking about? That never happened. I don't care if your brother remembers it the same way. That never happened. You guys must have like gotten together and made that up about me. Oh, so your whole entire childhood was so awful. No, you know what? I was a good mother. I still am a good mother. One bad thing happening to you and all of a sudden you just had this horrible childhood. You can't be grateful for the things that were good. You have to focus on the one bad thing. Didn't even happen. It did not even happen. You're just making things up. You're making things up to make me seem like I'm a bad mom and you had a horrible childhood so people feel bad for you, poor little thing. If I'm just so horrible, you might as well just go no contact with me since that's what everybody seems to be doing to their mothers these days. You think everything's about you and you think you can just cut your mother off from your life because you guys are such whiny little babies. You know what? I can't even do this. I had horrible news today and you just seem to make everything worse because it always has to be about you all the time. Just go no contact with me then.
Oh, you're depressed. You're depressed. I'm sorry, do you not have food to eat? Do you not have clothes on your back? Do you not have a warm bed upstairs to sleep in? Is the life that your father and I work so hard to provide for you not good enough? Go depress some dishes, get out of my face. I told my wife she's 5 years old. She's not gonna notice if I'm not at her stupid dance recital. She's 6 years old. She's not gonna notice if I'm not at her stupid dance recital. She's 7 years old. She's not gonna notice if I'm not at her stupid dance recital. Oh, I hurt your feelings? Well, nobody cares about your feelings in the real world, so you better get used to it. Get up. You want me to be nicer to you. You don't like the way I talk to you. Do you like living in my house? All right, then. I think I'm nice enough. Oh, you want to talk back? You want to talk back? Say goodbye to your door. Yeah, no. Privacy in this house is a privilege, not a right. Oh, look, honey. She thinks the world revolves around her. She's in for a rude awakening. You're not as special as you seem to think you are. Stop crying. The world is a tough place. Better you learn from me than somebody out there, because at least I love you. You act like I'm this terrible father, but have you ever thought that maybe you're not so easy to love? Now get dressed or we're going to be late for church.
When you go no contact with members of your family and they say, oh, you only have one mom, you only have one sibling, you only have one whoever, it's never like, oh, they only had one you and they messed that up. Because I assure you, 9 times out of 10, no one's going no contact for no reason. And it's always show them grace. It's never they should have treated you better when they had the chance. I think we're all forgetting that these people that are being left behind in the wind have done something to deserve it. Like, yes, you only get one mom, unless you have 2 moms, but like, they only get one you. And more than likely, you've given them, or like they've given their family members chance after chance to change, to like show that they've changed. And like, they just haven't done the work to deserve having a relationship. And no, it's not like, oh, we don't understand, like, you don't understand our dynamic. No, like we do, and you are the villain, actually. Like, people need to start realizing that it is a privilege to F with you. Like, I don't care if we are connected by blood. If you're treating me poorly, I'm not gonna let you keep treating me poorly. And coming from someone who is a no contact pretty much with like a few people, it was not a light decision. I did not make that decision lightly. And if one of your family members has gone no contact and you have been included, I'm not even gonna say it, but you know.
Stop telling people who are no contact with their parents that they need to either make things right.
I think what a lot of people miss is that a lot of us didn't actually want to go no contact with our parents. We were forced to, because when a parent puts a child in a position where the child has to choose themselves and their mental health over the emotional, physical, spiritual damage that's being done to the child by the parent, it's one of the most difficult decisions that an individual can make. And I think it's really important to note that a lot of us understand the trauma that our parents went through prior to having us. We understand that they didn't have the resources that we have now. We understand that they didn't grow up the way that we have grown up with them. But all we have ever asked of them is to stop treating us as if what they've done to us has had no impact on us, especially when we've taken the time to understand how their lives and their parents have impacted them. I told my mother directly that I would rather be homeless on the street with nothing and have a healthy relationship with her than have her speak to me and treat me the way that she has. And it still didn't click for her. I went through some of the worst losses in my life, and she mocked the entire situation. So for me, when a parent kicks a child when they're at the low points that I have faced, you forced me to go no contact with you, because at that point, contact with you is causing me physical harm. A lot of people don't understand that a lot of us have very internal reactions to the hurt and pain that our parents have caused us that manifests itself in a physical nature. For me, I start shaking, I get night sweats, I start having panic attacks. It affects me to the point where I can't even mentally focus. And this has shown up in a plethora of my relationships, romantic relationships with partners who mirrored behavior of my parents, specifically my mother and my father. Well, yeah, those are my parents. I mean, I don't claim them. Anyway, what I'm saying is people have to push a lot of us to the point of no contact, because a lot of us want those very relationships that you guys are telling us that we need. That's your mom, that's your dad, that's your husband, that's your sister, that's your auntie, that's your uncle. Okay, and who am I? Who am I? Do I not matter in this equation? Because if I'm not gonna matter to you, them, I have to matter to myself. Like, I can't just continue to put everyone ahead of me. And that's why a lot of us have chosen to go no contact. And there are plenty of us that are not going to come back for the inheritance because we never needed your money. We wanted your love, respect, kindness, protection, care. That's what we wanted. And I'm not saying that money doesn't matter, because it does, but what mattered more was love and respect for my parents, not what they gave me. And I've been an empath and a people pleaser, so you know if I had to cut somebody off, I had to be pushed there, because doormats put up with everything.
Ooh, child. Let's just take a moment to breathe in and release all that mess. Now, I want to hear from you down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this little trip through Dysfunction Junction, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Remember, self-care isn't selfish, it's survival. And I'll see y'all later.